In the age of viral memes where attention spans are shorter than a swipe, where applause is for the loudest, not the wisest, what would Machiavelli think? Niccolò Machiavelli, the architect of power, once wrote, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find one who will let himself be deceived." Now imagine placing his mind, sharp as a dagger, cold as steel, into the chaos of 2025. How would he navigate algorithmic warfare, weaponize viral trends, or turn the illusion of connection into a tool for dominance? Today, you'll discover the 7 tactics Machiavelli would use to not just survive, but to win. By the end of this video, you'll see the truth behind power games in our world of filters and hashtags, and more dangerously, you'll learn how to play them. Ready to? Stop playing nice, let's begin. Loyalty, this gilded word, a sanctuary upon which you build relationships, a foundation you believe to be unshakable. It drapes itself around friends, colleagues, lovers, as if woven from the finest silk promises. Yet take a moment as shadows gather to question its sincerity. What if I told you that loyalty is not the sacred vow we cherish, but a mere currency traded in the marketplace of human ambition? Machiavelli wrote that, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find one who will let himself be deceived." Let that sink in. The truth swims beneath the surface of our social contracts, disguised as benevolence but often boiled down to a transactional exchange. In 2025, loyalty is bought with favor, maintained only as long as the optics keep the illusion intact, and easily discarded when dreams hang in the balance. Look closely at those around you, at friends who pledge their fidelity during good times, but vanish into whispers when shadows loom. Would they bear the weight of your burdens if doing so meant sacrificing their aspirations? The harsh truth is that true loyalty is as rare as gold. The masses become pawns, sacrificing their own value for the perceived royalty of others. In yacht, the game of life, loyalty thrives within the confines of mutual benefit. When your interests diverge, loyalty becomes a hollow shell, cracked and easily broken. Consider this metaphor, a game of chess. The king is worthless without the pawns, yet those very pawns are often left to fall first, mere sacrifices for the grander strategy of victory. Think of modern politics where alliances fracture without warning. Friends who once stood shoulder to shoulder in shared ambitions morph into competitors, backstabbing for advantage. The moment the stakes rise, the masks fall away, revealing the raw flesh of ambition beneath. Wouldn't you rather be the banker of loyalty than a beggar seeking scraps thrown by others? Machiavelli understood this duality well. He believed that silence was often louder than action. What remains unspoken reveals our deepest truths. As you embrace this principle, envision your relationships not as unwavering fortresses, but as temporary alliances forged in the fires of necessity. The emotional weight of friendship might feel burdensome, but it is only through this lens that you reclaim your psychological power. Let's face the uncomfortable truth. Friendships are not built upon unwavering loyalty. They are built on strategic alignments, ephemeral connections in the endless war for personal gain. You must always calculate the worth of your investments. Assess whether those around you are enriching your castle or plotting to breach its walls. The takeaway looms large. Loyalty is not an unbreakable bond, but a delicate ledger, a constantly fluctuating currency that needs vigilant management. Your allies could betray you in an instant for a moment of fleeting gain, their commitments dissolving like mist under the fire of ambition. As you step back into the chaos of your life, remember this: the most dangerous trap lies in miscalculating loyalty's value. The cold distillation of relationships emerges. Reclaim your power by recognizing friendships for what they are carved from: temporary alliances formed in the relentless pursuit of self-interest. Your strategy must shift. Think like a banker, carefully weighing your options, keeping your portfolio of relationships under constant review. Let this principle resonate. In the realm of relationships, loyalty is a currency, not a law. With this knowledge, you arm yourself with foresight and clarity, navigating the shadows with a sharpened understanding of what loyalty truly means. Prepare to shift your focus from blind allegiance to calculated engagement, from emotional ties to strategic advantages. As this chapter of relationships closes like a dark curtain, the stage is set for our next exploration, deepening the void where fear and respect dance, sowing the seeds of influence in the minds of those around us. Embrace. This shift has a powerful evolution in your Machiavellian journey. Fear keeps men honest, Machiavelli might whisper if he graced our noisy, chaotic era. Yet we inhabit a society drenched in superficiality, where the pursuit of likability is paramount, and the expression of fear is deemed taboo. This speaks volumes. Fear, a forbidden currency, banished from our social toolbox, is replaced with empty smiles. But face the truth. To exist devoid of respect is to involuntarily invite exploitation. In a world governed by compliance, respect rooted in fear flourishes more abundantly than that born of affection. Let's peel back the layers of this paradox. Fear is not a brute sledgehammer intended to bring down the walls of trust. Rather, it is a finely honed scalpel, wielded with precision, meant to carve clear boundaries sharp enough to draw blood. In boardrooms, online exchanges, and interpersonal relationships, fear is your weapon, its silent echo better than any shout. Fear whispers, nagging in the minds of those who dare challenge your space, making them think twice before crossing a threshold. Consider the figure of Steve Jobs, a name that evokes both admiration and trepidation. To many, he was royalty in the tech realm, a visionary whose genius sparked revolutionary ideas. Yet beneath that brilliance lay a palpable undercurrent of fear. He demanded compliance not through kindness, but through an intensity that steered emotions painstakingly close to the edge. Employees walked a tightrope knowing the stakes, push too far, act with deceit, and they faced his storm. This complex relationship cultivated loyalty born of fear, a silence wrapping itself tightly around ambition, steering away from rebellion with every calculated move made. Machiavelli wrote that the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. A chilling assertion, yet it reveals a timeless truth. Fear guarantees compliance. When faced with the duality of respect and fear, most choose the path that ensures their existence, their standing. In the war of social interactions, fear protects against exposure, shielding you from the vulnerability that comes with unchecked cordiality. Understand this. Respect fostered through charisma may shine brightly, but it is ephemeral, capable of vanishing overnight, reduced to ashes. Conversely, fear remains. It lingers like a shadow behind every interaction, an unyielding presence that demands respect and awareness. This duality forms a complex dance, like flames flickering behind glass, mesmerizing yet dangerous. As you navigate the labyrinth of connections, it is imperative to embrace this Machiavellian wisdom. Fear allows the architect of relationships to draw pitiless lines, demanding respect with an unassailable authority. Utilize these shadows, not just to intimidate, but to remain unassailable amidst the tempest that is human ambition. In a time when sincerity seems scarce, consider how this grim illumination shapes your network, how it alters the motives of those who surround you. The chilling reality reveals itself. Genuine respect, once thought to be the cornerstone of human interaction, can crumble under the weight of betrayal. Yet fear endures, wrapping itself around expectations like a vice until they cannot break free. This lesson, rooted in the echoes of Machiavelli, evokes clarity that should embolden your strategy. Thus, let this principle infiltrate your mind. Fear is the shadow of respect. Draw strength from this insight, holding it close as you interact with the world. Lasting authority does not depend on the fleeting comforts of affection. It thrives in the potent energy of fear, sculpted through boundaries and sharpened by consequences. As we transition from the shadow of fear to the next dimension of influence, we venture into the interplay between control and chaos. A battlefield where the true leaders emerge, shaping destinies while navigating the storms within and around them. Embrace this journey as a strategic evolution toward understanding the ultimate mechanisms of power. In 2025, the world screeches louder than ever before, a cacophony of endless notifications, clashing influencers, and warring egos. Yet, amidst this pandemonium, we stumble upon a paradoxical truth. Power does not dwell in the noise. Power lurks ominously in the silence. Machiavelli understood this intrinsic intricacy, that overindulgence in words serves only to unveil one's weaknesses, while silence breeds an air of curiosity, confusion, and ultimately, respect. This section plunges into the strategic advantage of silence, a weapon blessed by its understated nature in a world of egos clamoring for recognition. Imagine silence, not as a passive state, but as an aggressive stillness, much like a predator crouched in the grass, unseen yet exuding an intoxicating terror. When words diminish and voices quiet, the stage is set for intrigue, allowing the mind to weave tales that reflect one's insecurities and desires onto the blank mask of silence. Consider the enigma that is Elon Musk. During media firestorms, where chaos reigns and clamoring critics spew venom, Musk retreats into a calculated quietness. This withdrawal is not weakness. It's a masterful command of attention. Every silence is a loaded moment, a heavy pause that forces others to wrestle with their own narratives, projecting their fears and passions onto him. The silence is his shield, his weapon, a subtle yet fierce negotiation of power that mutes the outraged crowd. Machiavelli wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." Silence becomes your weaponry, transforming not just your presence but the very atmosphere around you. Each quiet moment allows those surrounding you to scramble for explanation, to engage in frantic interpretations of your intentions. They find themselves lost in the labyrinth of their thoughts, yielding the power that should have remained yours. In a world where authenticity is paraded as the ultimate virtue, the few who master the art of silence become rulers of their own destinies. The alluring mystery of celebrities who reveal nothing acts as a magnetic force, an unspoken proclamation that they hold the lever of control. The allure lies not in their existence but in their silence, casting shadows that whisper, louder than any blaring headline. This silence creates a captivating aura, a graceful yet ferocious dance of influence. But why should you feel compelled to explain yourself? The inclination to voice an opinion or to clarify intentions arises from vulnerability, a desire for validation. Let this be a performance of withdrawal. Let your actions dominate the noise, a calculated silence that reinforces your authority. In this arena of existence, silence has the deftness of a blade, carving through the superfluous clamor to expose raw truth. Here lies the psychological shift one must embrace. Stop explaining yourself. Allow your presence to eclipse the noise, letting the silence communicate your control. This truth draws on Machiavelli's wisdom, understanding that love is optional while command is not. When you withdraw into silence, you withdraw from the trivial game of debater and commentator, stepping into the realm of the strategist. Machiavelli never asked to be understood, only to be obeyed. Hold on to this principle. Let your silence resonate like a drum in the hearts of those who dare oppose you. The calculated pause, the intentional absence of sound, it all coalesces into a commanding presence that demands recognition, respect, fear even. As we transition from understanding the weaponry of silence into the chaotic battlefield of control, we prepare to dismantle the illusions of power. Each moment of measured silence echoes with the whispers of authority, affirming that true power is wielded within the shadows, waiting for the perfect storm to emerge, a renewal of control carved from the void of noise. Embrace this art of stillness as your arsenal, and let it navigate you through the ensuing wars of existence ahead. Kindness, a virtue glorified by society, is often serenaded as the true measure of humanity. Yet, what if I told you it's also weaponized? Yes, weaponized to disarm and manipulate. Machiavelli would smirk at those who preach kindness as an untainted end in itself, an innocent virtue untouched by ulterior motives. For beneath the surface of benevolence lies a Machiavellian twist. When wielded as a mask, kindness can ensnare enemies, seduce gatekeepers, and lull threats into complacency. It is a facade, as captivating as a soft whisper wrapped in velvet, hiding beneath it an iron fist ready to strike at the opportune moment. In this exploration, we will navigate the duality of kindness, confronting genuine acts of compassion against the backdrop of feigned benevolence. Picture the diplomat flashing a smile while draped in a dark cloak of ambition, every gesture a calculated move on the chessboard of influence. Here lies the contradiction. On the outside, a benevolent guardian, and within, a wolf poised to pounce. Throughout history and even in contemporary arenas, figures have weaponized charm, utilizing their smiles as tools to soften the edges of tyranny. Think of the politicians who seemingly embody compassion, their faces radiant with warmth as they enact policies that ensnare the vulnerable. Machiavelli wrote that the ends justify the means. He was not suggesting kindness devoid of strategy, but rather presenting it as a powerful weapon when used judiciously. The art of deception thrives on the sincere, and the sweetest smiles often coexist with the darkest intentions. In this stagecraft, kindness becomes a vehicle for control, deftly masking ambitions and desires. Consider the modern-day sensationalism of social media, where influencers wield kindness as a brand, packaging empathy into marketable bits, commodifying compassion into digestible morsels for consumption. What lies beneath this facade? The shadows whisper of manipulation, where kindness is performed for likes and shares, not for genuine connection. Each like serves as an affirmation, a superficial currency for a deeper strategy, a psychological operation veiled in niceties. The lesson is clear. Do not discard kindness. Instead, embrace its complexities. Master it. Use it as camouflage in a world rife with traps and turmoil, masking your true motives while your mind sharpens its dagger in the shadows. When faced with the indignities of existence, deploy kindness with cunning precision. It can be the facade that empowers you, even as you plan your next move. Machiavelli understood the nuance of kindness, its capacity to enact control without invoking suspicion. He taught that true power often operates in the shadows, where even a faint glow of kindness can mislead the unsuspecting. He knew a gentle touch could forge alliances while preparing the battlefield for war. As you navigate your interactions, recognize that kindness can be manipulative, yet it need not be devoid of authenticity. Make your performative gestures a scintilla of truth presented amidst strategic calculation, a way to control perceptions while minimizing risks. For every genuine act of compassion, consider the hidden agenda it might serve. Here lies the psychological shift poised to redefine your understanding of kindness. See it not as an inherent virtue, but as an instrument, a tool to wield. The act of kindness can be synonymous with power, a power that pervades the shadows, commanding allegiance and quelling dissent. Your kind demeanor can be the trap that ensnares the unsuspecting, luring them into a web of your making. In this intricate dance of strategy and sentiment, remember the laws of Machiavelli. The art of kindness must be approached with both admiration and caution. It is a beautiful masquerade, but behind the mask lies your greatest weapon. Navigate this landscape not just with compassion but with cunning, for the brightest mask can often conceal the darkest of truths. As we continue to explore the depths of influence, let kindness be your cloak, while your strategies rumble like distant thunder ready to manifest when the moment demands it. Vulnerability, a currency in today's age of oversharing, shrouds us in a perilous paradox. In 2025, as souls bear their burdens online, revealing heartbreaks and fears in pursuit of compassion, the landscape is littered with emotional debris, a cacophony of cries for sympathy. Yet as we unfurl these tender tales, we ignore the chilling warning from Machiavelli. When you wear your wounds on your sleeve, you invite attack. The world is vicious, a battlefield littered with opportunists who lurk like wolves hungry to feast on the exposed. But there is a twist worth exploring. The appearance of vulnerability, when false, becomes a weapon of profound leverage. Consider this. The guise of weakness can obscure underlying strength, camouflaging one's true motives in a fabricated cloak of susceptibility. Here, we delve deep into the chilling effectiveness of this artifice, a tactic honed and perfected by Machiavellian thinkers across the ages. Envision the cunning predator cloaked in the sheep's wool, embodying what seems like innocence. Within the folds of that false skin lies calculated strategy, waiting to ensnare the unsuspecting. When you play the weak card in a room filled with thirsty threats, you orchestrate a dance of underestimation. Opponents grow overconfident, emboldened by your facade. In their myopic view, they see only the surface, a delicate creature, unarmed and unguarded. Sun Tzu taught that knowing your enemy is critical to victory. Those who mask their power with simulated frailty engender miscalculations, creating openings for decisive strikes. Through this lens, we witness the brilliance of strategic deception, as modern business leaders adeptly feign inadequacy to outmaneuver their rivals. Such acts, cloaked beneath layers of artifice, sing a darker tune. They provide a clear path to seizing what others work tirelessly to protect. Machiavelli wrote that those who leap feigned weaknesses often turn the tide of conflict. The ultimate Trojan horse, vulnerability, when wielded wisely, carves out channels to seize power from the unwitting. Hidden behind the veil of empathy, you can draw in the greedy, the fearful, and indeed, the ambitious. As they lower their guard in response to what they perceive to be your fragility, you plot, you gather your resources, a reservoir of strength lying in wait, but tread carefully. This dance of shadows is fraught with risk. Genuine vulnerability invites connection, yet false vulnerability requires a deft touch, a balance that can tip into manipulation. The art lies in keeping your emotions calibrated as you navigate the treacherous waters of perception and reality. Whispers of fire surround the edges of sincerity. One slip could ignite a conflagration that burns all to ash. As the landscape shifts underfoot, remember, your vulnerability can cloak your true intentions, but it must remain strategic and purposeful. Machiavelli understood that to play the victim is to wield power masterfully, creating space to solidify advantage. It's a performance, an act that demands you stay 2 steps ahead, crafting an illusion that becomes your greatest asset. The psychological shift is clear. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a sharp tool to be honed and wielded. It's the key that unlocks the door to opportunity, the flame that can illuminate the darkest of shadows. Let it be your arbiter in times of war and peace. As we pivot forward, consider this strategy. Employ false vulnerability wisely, and you may find even the fiercest opponents kneeling at your feet, disarmed by your guise. In this complex game of human interplay, manipulate perceptions while promoting your own agenda. The art of false vulnerability is not merely a strategy. It becomes an intricate dance of shadows and light. Use it then, not as a weapon of despair, but as a tool of fortification, granting you the upper hand as others remain blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just beneath your serene facade. Don't burn bridges. We've all heard this cliché echoing through the halls of caution. Yet, in the cold light of Machiavelli's wisdom, one must ponder, what if that bridge offers your enemies a map to hunt you down? What if in its destruction, you immobilize their pursuit? Sometimes it is within the flames that the path to freedom reveals itself. A swift, decisive severance can yield an unparalleled advantage. Let's dissect the essence of this strategy. Severing ties, stripping away the bonds that tether you to stagnation, does not hinge on emotion. It is a tactical maneuver. Picture dilapidated bridges, eroded by time and strain, becoming increasingly hazardous to navigate. Relationships that drain your energy, a burden masquerading as support, must be jettisoned to clear your path. Machiavelli understood that silence often speaks louder than words. A bridge burned sends a message more profound than any farewell could convey. Visualize fire as a liberating force. To ignite the past is to release the dead weight that lingers, shackling your potential. Imagine the flames consuming old alliances that, while once beneficial, have since morphed into something toxic. Recognize that those commitments, outdated like moth-eaten garments, hold you back. In a world where the storm rages outside, retreating to the silent confines of your own kingdom becomes paramount. Real-world parallels illustrate this principle vividly. CEOs, in a bid for rejuvenation, sever long-standing but toxic relationships with partners who distract from their vision. They understand that in the cutthroat arena of power, each connection carries weight, a balance of gain and loss. To step away from alliances that no longer serve your interests is to reclaim agency, to stand tall amidst the shadows that threaten the light of your future. Consider individuals leaving behind social circles that suffocate their growth. It's a purging of sorts, a necessary ritual that paves the way for transformation. As the old connections crumble, new opportunities arise from the ashes. Burning bridges create space, a void that yearns to be filled with something greater, something potent and electrifying. Embrace the flames, do not fear them. In destruction lies rebirth, the fire that fuels renaissance. Machiavelli never asked for mercy, only strategic mastery. By burning what no longer serves your purpose, you assert your dominion over your own narrative. As the bridges smolder, they mark the territory of your liberation, the declaration of your intent to rise. Each ember that falls to the ground whispers of what was, while simultaneously lighting the way forward. It reveals a stark, but beautiful, truth. To advance, sometimes you must withdraw. The act of destruction here is not an act of violence. It's a strategic withdrawal into a sanctuary where only growth can flourish. This shift in perspective, this psychological awakening calls for a new understanding. Burning bridges is not merely a punitive act. It is a well-calibrated strategy meant to enhance control over your destiny. To Machiavelli, the battlefield was as much external as it was internal. The bridges you burn dictate the routes available to you, rendering you not merely a player in the game but the architect of the battlefield itself. Let the flames rage, consume, and clear the path to victory. As the darkness envelops the remnants of your past, be redefined by the struggles that have shaped you. The fire can illuminate your ambition while also igniting the fears of those who remain tethered, bound by the constraints you have shed. From ashes, strength is forged. In the art of burning bridges, you harness the power to dictate your future, unencumbered by the noise of what was. Embrace this truth. It is through the destruction of the old that the new emerges triumphant. As you step boldly into uncharted realms, remember that every bridge you burn is a move towards expansion, a declaration of victory amidst the war of existence. Stability is an illusion, a pretense we cling to believing it exists, a fleeting condition, a calm before the storm. In Machiavelli's world, upheaval is a constant companion, an inevitable embrace of chaos. Today we find ourselves entrenched in chaos. Political polarization, economic turbulence, digital skirmishes masking deeper unrest. The masses scramble for stability, grasping desperately at thin air, while Machiavelli would sneer, finding amusement in their desperate endeavors. Why? Because chaos is not a threat. It's a ladder, ascending through the mist. Chaos is the crucible where adaptability is forged. It hones our resolve, sharpens our instincts, and reveals those luminous cracks in the veneer of normalcy, where opportunity lurks, waiting to be seized. The world's disorder is not to be sidestepped. It's a field ripe for exploitation. Imagine a tempest, raging, relentless. We must delve into its heart, for it is here that we discover the power that lies hidden from the risk-averse. Approach the storm. Embrace the chaos. Herein lies the potential for triumph. As the tumultuous winds swirl, consider this. True ambition arises not in times of peace, but within the cacophony of crises. History grants us a ledger filled with examples. Entrepreneurs who not only survive but thrive amidst market crashes, their minds ignited by the chaos surrounding them. They dance amidst the ruins, observing the foolish, the paralyzed as they miss the opportunities concealed within their shackles of fear. They understand, as Machiavelli knew, that this chaos gives rise to the empowered, those who have the audacity to navigate its treacherous waters. In the realm of political unrest, leaders emerge from the shadows, grasping the mantle of power as the old order falters. They leap into action, stepping forth while others cower, and through the smoke of anarchy they find their thrones. To Machiavelli, the silence of the risk-averse is deafening, yet in the chaos, the assertive hear a symphony of potential, resonance of ambition that calls them forth. It is not the absence of chaos that brings prosperity. It is the ability to ascend through its very turbulence. Visualize the ladder, a winding, disappearing structure reaching into the clouds, a metaphor for the twists and turns of our existence. Each rung represents not mere milestones, but moments of decision, trials that measure our mettle against the backdrop of tumult. The clouds may obscure the summit, yet the ascent demands courage. Those willing to grasp the ladder understand the art of maneuvering through uncertainty. They find sanctuary within the storm. Adopt this shift in mindset. Where others see instability, seize the moment to cultivate your growth. Chaos is not merely a hindrance, it is fertile ground from which triumph can blossom. The fires of discontent that rage around us are clarion calls to step forward, to leap into action. Within this maelstrom, the strategic observer has the upper hand, like a chess player contemplating a vital move on a board where the rules continuously shift. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, and boldness often finds its roots in chaotic soil. Do not fear what others dread. Dive into the tumult, allow it to embrace you, and from it, draw forth the strength to elevate yourself. It is within the shadows of conflict that clarity emerges, the blurred lines of chaos unveiling, a path previously obscured. Lift your gaze to the horizon where storms may brew alongside promise. In the embrace of chaos, let your ambitions take flight. Step willingly onto the ladder that rises through the tumult. With every step upward, you defy the paralysis that surrounds you. Remember, to thrive in chaos is to awaken the power within, the power that transforms vulnerability into victory, the power that redefines the very nature of control. Thus, as the world spins in a wild dance of disorder, tether yourself to the understanding that this chaos is your ally. Let it serve as both compass and catalyst, your ascent through the ladder of tumultuous times, a march into the light that emerges after the storm. The journey will not be easy, but true power lies not in evading chaos, but in mastering it. Embrace the climb. Embrace the chaos. And so Machiavelli might say we part ways, but not as the same people who started. If nothing else, remember this. Illusions are comfortable, but comfort kills power. Emotional distance sharpens clarity. Silence is louder than shouting. Kindness is a mask, chaos is an ally, and fear is a tool. Now you hold these truths, but knowledge only becomes power when acted upon. The world is noisy, chaotic, and endlessly deceitful. Do you want to survive it or rule it? The choice requires no words, only action. Withdraw from illusion, reclaim your boundaries, and dominate. The game is Machiavelli wood. The stage is yours. Make your move.